Hello everyone, it's JT here at Whose Views. How are you? It's Sunday, the 15th of June, 2025. Wow, how are you? Hope you're all right. That's 2 weeks now we've had break from that nonsense that we had to get through, everybody. So I hope you're all right. Welcome back to your regular Sunday brining here at Whose Views. This, of course, is live at 6 because it is 6 o'clock here in the UK. So it is live at 6. And yeah, this is your sort of your preempt. This is your warm-up show for your big show later on today. In a couple of hours at 8 o'clock. Headlines will be here at 8 live. Lots to talk about, including, if you haven't heard it, after this, go and listen to it. The Dead Ringers skit. I laughed. I have to tell you, I laughed. It was hilarious and it was spot on, in my opinion. But we're going to be talking about that in a couple of hours' time in headlines. I'm going to delve into the chat now. Is anybody with me? Oh, you are. Hello, everybody. Oh, it's good to see you. Legion of James, hello to you. Sheila B in the Devotions, hello to you. Marine Boy 1966. Forbidden Man, thank you very much. And thank you for your emails and all your comments. Thank you very much to everybody as well. Thank you. Adrian's with me. Hello, mate. And PTA, hello to you. How are you, PTA? Good to see you all. Oh, and some of you have been speaking about the Dead Ringers thing already. There's Doug saying, I've heard that Dead Ringers cast, not nearly caustic enough for my liking. Still, nice to see some parts of the BBC acknowledge how much dross RTD2 Who was. And it's hilarious as well, isn't it, Doug? If you haven't heard it yet, we'll get it. We're going to be looking at the next show. But I thought it was hilarious and it was spot on. I really did think that. Anthony Parkinson, hello to you. Hugh, hello, mate. How are you doing? Good to see you. And Alfie's saying it was a brilliant sketch. I bet RTD and co weren't happy. I bet they're not. I bet they're not, But that's the second time in 2 weeks that the BBC or BBC Radio have taken their eyes out of current Doctor Who, because there was another show a couple of weeks ago where they were saying, well, I only watch it if it's necessary and this sort of stuff. And they really did not like it. Not good times for Doctor Who, even in the BBC now. Hello, Woodhouse 122. How are you? Been watching some Capaldi episodes over the weekend. Oh, have you? Shocking how much better they were than the Jodie and Shooty crap. I suppose I'm going to have to go back and look at them all, really, aren't I? Dave Chong is with us. Greetings from Michigan. Oh, hello, Dave. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Medal of Funk as well. Cody W1. Thank you. It's good to see you all. Jason's with me. Hi, folks. And Graham. Hiya, Graham. Who's saying, boo, I've just arrived. Stephen, yes, as I say, we're going to be talking about that sketch a little bit more in headlines at 8 o'clock. So, yeah, it's good stuff. But yes, here we are, everyone. As I say, it's June. Oh, PTA is giving me a super sticker, and it's one of those little pairs again. Look at this with a coffee. Cheers, PTA. You've read my mind. Of course, it's tea because I'm British. But there we go. It's good to see you. Thank you for your super sticker. And Carl's waving at me as well. Bill Lowry's saying how. Carl's there saying waving. And Shannon, hello from Miami. Hello, Shannon. Oh, one of my friends lives in Miami. Jay. He's a musician. Hello, Shannon. Good to see you. And hi, everybody. Yeah, but I was going to say to you all, everybody, this is June. Now, June should be a fairly carefree month, shouldn't it? It's the start of summer, if we're lucky here in the UK. We've had a couple of days so far, We might get a few more if we're lucky in the remaining couple of weeks. But it should be. But for the last several years, for me, Who viewers, June has become not just a headache, but incredibly embarrassing. What am I talking about? Well, of course, I'm talking about this obsession with pride. Aren't I? That's what I'm talking about. And here in the UK, over the last several years, it's recent as well. June has become Pride Month. Now, I'm going to say this again. It doesn't work. Pride Month originally was set up in America. Okay, no offense to all my American friends who are watching, but it came from the what was the LGBT community and has now become the LGBTQI plus community, hasn't it? And they have a whole month. The reason for that is that the prides in America across the country are set up and run in June. In the UK, that doesn't work because our prides can start, if they're going, which we'll come to in a minute, they can start from May and go right through to September and now even October. So it doesn't work. The whole thing about June being Pride Month doesn't work in the UK. And it just makes me cringe of these idiot bandwagon jumpers from the now TQ cult who have taken over all the prides here, making huge mistakes as they go, as we'll come to. They don't realise. In fact, the biggest two prides outside of London are Manchester and Brighton. Both of them now run by the TQ cult, and both of them in August. One at the beginning of the month, Manchester, because that's the first bank holiday in August, and the second one, Brighton, at the end of the month, because that's the second bank holiday. That's August. So I don't understand what this fascination with the whole of June is, because these idiots just haven't realised. It makes me laugh. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? It doesn't work here in the UK, this whole Pride June, because that's not what it was about, and that's why it's an American thing, and let them keep it if they want to. Although more and more LGBT people, of course, are not going to them anymore. Somebody else that's in both America and here, somebody else that wasn't impressed recently is Gareth Roberts. And I don't know if you saw this, but he wrote this particular article for one of the latest editions of The Spectator. End of the rainbow, Pride's fall can't come soon enough. And there's that bloody awful flag that I also find insulting, which is a great illustration of this this painter painting it over the wall that it's supposed to be on. Now, that was the front cover of The Spectator from last month. So this was on the newsagents all over the country. Not just the newsagents, but of course the supermarkets. So I was seeing it quite often. So eventually I caved in and I thought, I'll read this because it's Gareth. I'll read this. And I bought it. And it was very, very interesting. And I have to say, I agree with what Gareth was saying. But I thought it'd be a nice thing for me to express what I wanted to talk to you about here. Because have you noticed, especially Legion of James and all the others over here, it's a little bit muted here in the UK this year, isn't it, Pride? Do you not think? It's a little bit muted. And I'm beginning to wonder, with fingers crossed as well, whether the bubble's bursting because it's not doing what it was supposed to do. Let's look at Gareth's article. Bear with me. Have a look at this. Is Pride flopping? This party-coloured celebration of all things LGBTQIA+ started half a century ago as an afternoon's little march for lesbians and gay men. Then it became a day, then a week, and then a month. And now it spreads throughout the summer, accompanied by all manner of feast days and visibility events. Its expansion coincided with the addition of all the letters after the first three. This is when it became a jamboree, not only of boring homosexuality, very old hat, but just about anything else that its purveyors consider unconventional, ranging from wearing wigs to not fancying any kind of sex at all. Every peccadillo was deemed worthy of a flag and a float. But the wheels finally seem to be coming off the Pride clown car. What was mushrooming is now shrivelling. Several newly reform-led councils, including Kent and Durham, have taken down Pride flags from their municipal properties and won't be flying them during the high days or any others. The Times reports that Whitehall has banned civil servants from buying Pride lanyards. This is supposedly part of a crackdown on waste, but it's conveniently timely. Pride events themselves are dissolving. Several celebrations during Pride Month, which begins on Sunday, so this was a couple of weeks ago, obviously, have faced financial difficulties. Lincoln, Plymouth, Southampton, and Hereford have all either been abandoned, cut back, or had to rely on emergency bailouts from wealthy private backers. Many of our usual sponsors are unfortunately unable to help due to budget constraints, the organiser of Lincoln Pride told the BBC last month. His counterpart in Worthing reported that he had unsuccessfully been trying to secure sponsorship since September and warned the event might be cancelled unless that changes. Plymouth Pride was axed altogether. Its website tells us that despite our best efforts, the lack of national and local funding, alongside the decline in volunteer support, has made it impossible to deliver the event this year. Nobody knows how much these shortfalls have to do with the Trump administration's shuttering of US aid, but it's a very strange coincidence. If not, it is known that the American taxpayer was unwittingly partly funding Pride events in Britain, such as Classical Pride, a series of concerts in London which celebrates the importance of LGBTQ+ music and musicians to classical music. America has seen many of Pride's biggest corporate sponsors withdrawing their cold tootsies from the rainbow sock. MasterCard, Citi, PepsiCo, Nissan, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Booz Allen Hamilton, Deloitte, Comcast, Anheuser-Busch, Diageo, and Dakar's Automotive have all pulled back from stumping up for celebrations such as Pride St. Louis and World Pride in Washington. San Francisco Pride faced a potential $300,000 shortfall due to these withdrawals. NYC, New York City Pride, reported an estimated $350,000 deficit. A Gravity research study noted that around 2 in 5 corporate executives plan to reduce Pride engagement this year. With the second coming of Donald Trump, the shine has come off the rainbow, says Gareth. He's given executives good cover to walk away. 2025 is the year the genderist movement finally started to break apart. It has been a mad, wild ride. I'm sure there's more to come, but after many false alarms, it feels like a corner has finally been turned. The collapsing of Pride under the weight of its own internal contradictions is a sure sign that the jig is up. The preposterous proportions of Pride are a strain on credulity. Its adherents have to hold so many directly contradictory beliefs in their heads at the same time. For example, that men wearing women's clothes are utterly hilarious when this is classed as drag, but worthy of seriousness, respect, and indeed genuflection when this is classed as trans. Following the Supreme Court ruling, we hear that one of the main reasons men want access to women's toilets is because if they don't get it, butch lesbians will be assaulted by vigilante women when they go in there. Permitting trans women to use the ladies will apparently make everyone safer. If it does, you're not even hearing this blather. Heaven knows the brain ache it must give to those pretending to believe in it. So Gareth, as usual, straight to the point there, and being as crystal clear as he ever is with his writing. But you know, it was just resolute. I just thought, hang on a minute, this is exactly it. And it tied in with my looking around in April and May and the beginning of June to go, hang on a minute, this time there isn't all the guns blazing. And then we started hearing of the prides not going ahead across the country. I wonder what the UK Pride Organisers Network feels about this. Now, this is a network in the United Kingdom that has brought itself together around about 2014. And its first meeting was in Cardiff. I know because I was there. And it was supposed to be a great way for people putting together prides or involved with prides around the UK to come together and share ideas and network and, and get tips and hints and support each other. Even at that early meeting, I noticed some of the people going on about the tea stuff, not necessarily the cute, but the tea stuff. And, I just thought, hold on, this non-binary stuff was coming in. And I just, hang on a minute. What's that about? What's this about? Yeah, I don't understand this. This was nothing to do with same-sex attracted issues. They also didn't go down the route so much for me about being professional and being a business run sort of stuff. But that's up to the individual alleged prides around the country, all of whom who had a committee to put it together. Now, since then, these committees have all been taken over by people within the TQ cult. And God help you if you're like me and you stand against them, because if you are same-sex attracted, you are invalid. And you are only accepted if you bend the knee, because they won't like you. You're an ist, you're a phobe, you're an ot, whatever. We all know the score. We've had it in Doctor Who fandom as well as sci-fi fantasy fandom now for a few years, haven't we? And that's the thing. So it's very interesting where this is coming up against now, because we're losing the prides. And I, for one, think, thank God. The last time I was at a decent pride was, God, years ago. And I was at Brighton Pride, and I was actually working at Brighton Pride. So it was busy, thousands of people. It was busy, but the message was there. But it took a friend of mine who was working with at the time to say he didn't like it. And I asked why. And he said, well, it's not about our issue anymore. Now, that was years ago. And it was then that I started to wake up to go, oh, I wonder what it means. But when you looked at all this, it had gone away from the message of standing up for same-sex rights and issues, most of which we'd achieved, by the way, by this particular point. And they were desperately scurrying around to say, well, let's keep the party going. Very gay in a way. Let's keep the party going. We didn't know exactly where it was going to go to, by Stonewall especially taking up the lead with the TQ nonsense and say, oh, right, they don't matter now. Let's call a man a woman and a woman a man, and we'll support them and make it feel like the whole homosexual agenda again. Just going to pop into the chat for a minute. How are you all? I hope you didn't see the 15th Doctor of Brighton Pride, JT, says Steve Henley. That line was awful. I did not like that line in that show at all. Was that the last episode, guys? I can't remember. Oh, hi, Kirsty. Thanks for joining me, darling. Hope you're well. It was. I just thought that. Oh no, it was the. Apparently, it was the Eurovision one, Interstellar Song Contest one, wasn't it? The one I didn't see. That would make sense. Why? Again, RTD tailored the whole of his reboot, his second version of Doctor Who, to a minority, didn't he? Not the majority, not the worldwide public, but to a minority of personal pronoun using weirdos who believe in all this and live by this stuff, who have alienated everybody, same-sex attracted people, heterosexual people, all of us, and have destroyed everything that we built as same-sex attracted people in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, and the turn of the century, because they've trampled all over it. Jason saying to me, many people have woken up that the TQ cult is just a scam. I agree. And I think more and more people are waking up to that. Thankfully, Jason. It's interesting, isn't it? Stephen Braddock saying to me, we've got pride flags all up or over business premises. Now, Stephen, you know me, I'm not going to like that at all. And I'd open a big gob and say, what's this about? And probably get into a lot of trouble. Because I have been with various employers over the last few years, because I'll say that's a lie, that's not true, that's homophobic, that's ist, you know, that's misogynistic. It gets to me. But which flag are they putting up? Because even the flag was commandeered by these idiots, and it was changing. It had got that annoying triangle thing in it, hasn't it? The original flag included everybody. That was the whole point of the bloody thing. And then they had to go and put these brown and black and white and pink and pale blue stripes, and then the yellow bit with the circle. Do you know what that means? Heterosexuality, apparently. Utterly crazy. Bedwy is with me. Hi, Bedwy. Gareth always with a very eloquent and well-written piece. Isn't he just? Yeah. Some of you calling for him to be the new showrunner. I don't think he would do it. I don't think he'd do it at all. I'll ask him, but I don't think he would do it. And Frankie's saying to me, hello, Frankie, Liverpool Pride axed as well. All DEI is dying due to US aid no longer there. Tough luck. Frankie, I'm going to be coming to Liverpool Pride in a minute, because that was, yeah, I'm going to come to that. I'll breathe. Hello, Marie. Hope you're feeling well. Loads of celebs are removing their pronouns from their profiles, are they? The hypocrisy of the alleged entertainment business, eh? Having put them in there because it was the cool thing, the latest thing to do. Oh, you've got to have it. Now, because of the Supreme Court rulings here in the UK, which is pure common sense to say that a woman is a woman and a man is a man. I mean, it's pure common sense. Of course, they're getting backlash from some people in the show business industry as well. One of them's just left Doctor Who. No names. Oh, excuse me. Got no time for him. Hello, Peter Venkman fan site. How are you? Corpo's only got involved because of activist pressure, ambushes, and virtue signaling. A few of our local grocery stores stopped carrying an Italian brand because they refused to change couples in their ads. This is where these people on the far left are the dictators of modern society. They are so insistent that we do what they tell and we think like them. We know this, don't we? Because we've seen it through the likes of the producers of Doctor Who. You will think like this, or you will be called names. Not that we care. It's too late to call us all names, because reality is on our side and truth will always out. But that's exactly what I tell you. Something lovely. I was always very suspicious when all at the prides I was at over the last 10 years, including Manchester, Brighton, London. I couldn't stand it when the public services turned up with cars and ambulances emblazoned with that ruddy flag. How much does that cost to do that? And it's unnecessary. That's the virtue signaling. And as I keep saying to them, where were you in the 80s when we needed you? They were on the other side. The police in the 80s didn't want to know. They beat you up in this country. Honestly, they call you all sorts of things. The stories I can tell. Maybe I should write a book. But yeah, I mean, it was true. A lot of you would have been around in the 80s as well. You will know what I am talking about. And they would turn a blind eye occasionally if you were being, let's say, victimized. Strange, isn't it, how it all turned round? And now it's all DEI, all DEI. tick box, tick box. That's the virtualist thing. I can't stand it, honestly. Good to see you all. Hello, Mark. Mark A writes with us. LGBT pride was a positive expression of positivity that had its roots at a time when being gay or bisexual was portrayed in mainstream media as a source of shame. All that progress has been hijacked by opportunists. Well said, Mark. And it's totally true. And I'm totally with you. And it's heartbreaking, isn't it? For those of us that actually were on the marches back in the day, who were doing the protesting, who were doing the leafleting, who were putting ourselves out there on radio or on television to be interviewed, who were on the prides, who worked the prides, who did everything. And now you see all these idiots coming along, including people in the show business and entertainment industry. And I tell you what it is, in my theory, none of them were there in the 70s and the 80s to support that, even though the industry was full of same-sex attractive men and women, full of them. But you wouldn't have seen them coming out to prides or anything like that, were they? Unless they were out themselves. So they never supported them. Businesses never supported them. BBC never supported them. They didn't care. It wasn't the done thing. And then the DEI came along and then, oh yes, we'll have to tick that box now. We have to tick that box. It's just mind-blowing where it all went to. And the way they've hijacked it as well, Mark, as you say, and they've taken it and they've made it all about the TQ. It's because they weren't there in the first stage and they don't want to miss out on the second. So they think it's all about the same thing as being gay the last time round. It's not. It's nothing at all, because actually what you're supporting is homophobia when you actually get down to it, you bloody idiots. Oh. Alfie Jack, women supported the gays, now it's payback time. LGB without the T and the Q. LGB without the TQ. You're right, Alfie. Yeah, and I totally agree. And you know, same-sex attracted men will stand with women unless they've gone completely la-la, like that idiot on GB News. If you're seeing him, I have to switch him off if he comes on the YouTube channel. I have to switch him off. You know. Can't say his name. You know the one. Can't watch that daytime show if I'm I'm at work usually, but if I'm ever at home and I have to switch off. Hello to Snevron Sykes. How are you? The last time I was at a decent pride was Brighton 2009. It went downhill after that pretty damn quick. Oh, you were at 2009? I was there 2009. Yeah, I was sweating by bar somewhere. 2009. I don't remember them all. They were blur. I did about 4, I think. I think I worked about 4. Used to love it. Used to work all the time, constantly over 2 weeks. Lose so much weight because you would never eat. All you would do is work, run up and down stairs, run to work, go home, sleep, run home. Used to lose so much weight. I loved it. And Tony Farrell Sardis is here with me saying, I've no objection to pride parades. What I object to is people's kinks being put on display. And why does it need a month when our war dares get only a day? Well, that's, in case you didn't see at the top of the show, that's what I'm saying. In Britain, we don't need a month because our prides run from May to at least September. And in some cases, if they're going ahead, October. The whole thing about a month is because in America, all the prides happen in June. It's very rare that they will run later. But they all happen in June. So that's where it's come from, Tony. So it doesn't work in the UK and we shouldn't have it. But of course, they've all jumped on a bloody bandwagon because all these far lefties are good at that, aren't they? They don't research. They don't look into things properly. They just jump on the bandwagon and see where it takes them, bloody idiots. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Gatwa, by the way. Jesus. Anyway, so yeah, I don't have any objections to the pride parades as long as they were done as they were. Pride was always a protest for same-sex attracted people and the rights. We achieved the rights. The last right we got was same-sex marriage, which always makes me laugh. But we still get that. We got that, and then it should have ended. And the prides could have formed into something else. I had no idea they were going to form into what they have formed in, which includes things that are nothing to do necessarily with same-sex attracted rights and issues, like the furries and all the fetishes. That's not what pride should be. And why is it being tacked in to LGB? This is why we say hashtag LGB without the TQ. We want nothing to do with that. And most of the Q, of course, are very confused, virtue signaling heterosexuals wearing nail varnish. Drives me crazy. Hope that welcomes you there. Hello, Legion of James. What are you saying to me? I've had more hate thrown at me locally recently by the TQ cult that's quite clear these people are not about inclusiveness, and they've hijacked all our gay bars and spaces to a point that you can't go. Yes, exactly. I've told you the stories before, I think, guys, about how I've had friends all over this lovely country of ours who won't bend the knee to the TQ cult and are terrified. They won't talk. They won't speak out against it. They haven't got a big gob like I have, you know, and they're terrified about it. So they just go with the flow. If they don't, like a few of my friends have, a couple of my friends, actually, my friend who was visiting over from Miami, him and his husband were asked to leave a alleged LGB premises, but it turns out it's LGBTQ plus because he's a bit like me. And with him being American, he's a little bit louder. And he was saying, "Oh no, they're all over," and they threw him out of this pub or this venue. They threw him out of it. Absolutely ridiculous. That's happened to friends of mine. It's happened to me. You know, don't be, if you're not going to bend the knee, you are a nasty person. You know, and if you don't do what we tell you, you're a nasty person. Isn't it ridiculous? It really is. It's good to see you all in the chat. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for listening to me as well, by the way. I've read on my little rant here. Moira Goddard. Hello, lovely. How are you? I'm so glad LGB are distancing themselves from the TQ mob. We have to. And it's brilliant here, especially Moira, because Britain has led this with more and more same-sex attracted men and women waking up to what we're being dictated to. I'm going to mention it again. BBC Three, of course, are currently continuing that stupid alleged reality show, I Kissed a Boy, where they have a trans man, i.e. a woman, in the mix. And now some of the gay boys that are on this, who are a little bit woke in themselves, by the way, are now coming out saying, "Oh, well, I'm not attracted to him." Well, of course not. And you pretty much seen it on social media. She's coming out saying, "I don't understand necessarily why they won't basically get off with her, because they're gay and you're a woman." The homophobia in this is disgraceful. I hate that show. I still haven't heard back, by the way, from my complaints from Ofcom. As soon as I do, I'll be here to tell you all about it. What Legion of James was saying to me there as well, it's happened to me this week. You may have well, if you've heard me talk about some of these stuff on Live at 6 before, you would have heard me talk about a particular Facebook group. And here it is. This is the gay fans group on Facebook. As you can see, it's got 1.2 members, 1.2, well, just over 1,200 members, just over. And I've been challenging various things there as well, because of course the majority of them are part of the TQ cult and they don't realize. So I've been, in my way, challenging by turning around saying, "That's homophobic, that's homophobic." Yesterday, some fella came on saying that some guy that had been in Doctor Who or something, it was his birthday yesterday, and he said as part of the thing, born such and such, blah, 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 identifies as gay. What? The wording that these people uses is bloody atrocious. So I went on there, of course, and said, no, he doesn't identify as gay. You either are gay or you're not gay. What is it? Fair point, I would say. You're either same-sex attracted or you're not. You can be bisexual, of course, to the two. But usually, you know, you don't identify as it. It's the wording that grates. Well, anyway, of course, by yesterday afternoon, I've now been, after several years, barred from this group. Not even a message to tell me why. And I know why it is. It's because I won't bend the knee. And they've finally got fed of me correcting them because I'm not the right sort of gay again. So for those of you in the Doctor Who gay fans group, sod you, because you are supporting a homophobic cult. Trans women are men and trans men are women. It's as simple as that, as the BBC Three show I Kissed a Boy is proving, because they've tried to put a woman in there who's calling themselves a trans man, and the guys are not attracted to her in any way, shape or form because she's built like a woman, she smells like a woman, and she has a bloody vagina. These people are thick, absolutely thick. So if you're watching me and you're from the Doctor Who gay fans group, and you think the way I do, like any normal common sense person does with truth and reality, watch out. Awful, absolutely awful. I'm not going to miss much, but I've been on that group for so many years, and it used to be nice. It used to be nice. Kirsty, my best mate is a lesbian. Her company asked for the best logo on their site and told them to jog on. They do business in Africa, told them to help closeted peeps instead. Good point, and good for your friend there, because yes, because none of them would try this stuff in the Middle East or Africa, would they? None of them would do all this. And there's been these things over the last few years where they change all their logos for June to celebrate the American Pride Month, which is now gone around the world. And then they'll change it back. And it's usually that progressive, the alleged progressive flag, the one I don't like. But for those countries that won't tolerate homosexuality, they won't dare. So that's hypocrisy as well, isn't it? And all these people that are saying to themselves, oh, we're queer, they won't. If you go over there, well, you're not coming back, are you? Graham's saying to me, it's all box ticking, isn't it? No sincerity whatsoever. No, that's exactly it. No sincerity at all. It's because it ticks the DEI box on the clipboard, isn't it? You can just see them going around going, oh, I've got this to do, and oh, we must do this. And no, don't forget, June's an easy one because it's 4 months of absolute rainbows. It drives me bloody mad. Can't stand it. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining me. Legion James saying, gay fans group. I got banned after 3 hours of joining. The absolute abuse I got from screaming morons, all because I pointed out facts. They didn't like the truth invading their echo chamber. No, they don't. And that's a good way to put it, isn't it, James? It is an echo chamber. And they've been brainwashed. And it just so happens they're also Doctor Who fans. So RTD and his cronies have got to them as well, haven't they? You know, and not all of them on there are that far left, but they won't speak out. Because I've had a lot of people commenting on some of the stuff I was saying, you know, saying, oh, I totally agree, or liking it or whatever. A couple of them sent me personal messages saying, oh, well done you for saying that. They've got to stand up about this as well. Never mind if you're barred from a group. I used to know the guy that ran that group, by the way, Legion James, on Facebook, and he unfriended me or whatever you call it yesterday after nearly 20 years. Not that it bothers me because I'm used to it, but Billy, get a grip and do your research. I hope he sees this and I hope he gets shamed. Unbelievable. Hello, David. David Shaw's with us, guys. I have autism and sometimes get laughed at because I chat a lot. I can't help it, JT. What's going on? You chat away. Everybody in our chat, as you'll know, David, is fantastic. Just to remind you, David, as well, don't forget that this week on the channel, on Whose Views, we're going to be reviewing Battlefield on Wednesday, 8 o'clock live. So make sure you've caught up with Battlefield. I watched 2 versions of it yesterday. Bloody brilliant compared to all the crap I've been watching over recently. Oh, loved it. Absolutely. It was like a breath of fresh air. I felt like I was back in Doctor Who world again. Don't know about you lot, but more of that on Wednesday. It's all coming up. But thank you, David. Yes. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Mark, hello, Mark Greaves. My friend in Blackpool was being screamed at by some of these idiots until I got involved. Good for you. Trying to tell him he was wrong feelings. So angry, I told him to leave him alone in no uncertain terms. Well, good for you, Mark. You're a good friend. Because they're the idiots and they're a minority. They're a very loud, colourful minority, but they're a minority. And they don't understand that they're everything that they call us to be. And attacking, even verbally, same-sex attracted men and women, they don't get the irony of that at all, do they? They're absolutely horrible people. Really horrible people. Yes, Peter Venkman saying, yeah, JT banned for wrong thing. Yeah. Hey, not the first time in the last few years. Honestly, I have got stories about all sorts of things from my professional and personal. It's all going to come out one day. Probably here. Hi, Raymond Williams. Good to see you. Yes, we were talking about that at the top. We're going to be talking more about the Deathbringers sketch at 8 o'clock in Headlines. I'm so looking forward to seeing what Paul and Third Doctor Ian have got to say about that. I'm really, really looking forward to that. Frankie is saying to us, there's a trans pig on Clarkson's farm now, probably. I can just imagine Jeremy Clarkson going down that route. Oh, dear. Jordan. Hello, Jordan. How are you, mate? Hi, JT. Good evening. And don't worry about that shite group. Whose Views is the place to be? Yes, it is. I'm not worried about them, Jordan. I'm used to it now, sadly, because I've been getting criticism for my belief that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and it takes homosexuals to know it for years. I'd say since around about 2018, maybe even 17, around about that time. And people suddenly not talking to me and disconnecting me as they jumped on a very misinformed, uneducated and homophobic bandwagon because they want to be seen to be the right sort of person. We know them all. Most of them, some of them are in that group. The amount of people that block me because I dare to say, no, a man has to have a penis. Honest to God, how did we get here? We're celebrating mental unhealth. Have you seen them all on YouTube and on X and things like this? All these people screaming about all sorts of things. Screaming. This is what happens when you close the loony bins. The mental health institutions. Peter Venkman found that there are fewer companies on the twits this year, I've noticed, but there are still a bunch left. Yeah, and I'm wondering if next year it'll be different again, because I have noticed this. Gareth's article really opened my eyes to it as well, because it's obvious that he's seen it. So others are now twigging to the fact. I do feel this June has been slightly muted. It's interesting to hear from you guys in the States about, is it muted over there? Because it certainly here in the UK. We're not getting as much about it, thankfully. We need J.K. Rowling to champion Doctor Who. That will drive the cults away, says Alfie Jack. She's too busy doing her own series at the moment, isn't she? But gosh, can you imagine? They wouldn't like that, would they? Steve Henley said, JT, you've got all of us. Oh, well, thank you, Steve. You little cutie. You little pretty. Yes, thank you. It's good to see you all. Thank you. Alfie Jack, look at this one. Yeah. It's a cesspit of the cults now. You can't say anything about a ban. It's true. I don't know what's happening to Britain. I look around me and it's not the Britain I know. And I don't think it's the Britain. Like, it's getting more like Blade Runner territory every bloody week, isn't it? Frank, hello, Frank. Do you think John Culshaw will get banned by Big Finish following their recent Dead Ringers skit? Oh, ask us again in headlines. I'm not really that up on Bog Fanish, as you know, because I don't agree with them for many reasons. Even though I supported them for years when they first came out in 1999, I was there supporting them for at least 10 years. I stopped around about, well, I was losing the will to live at Zagreus, which I thought was bloody awful. But I did get some others after that, especially Collins. And then when Tom came on board as well, I sort of started losing it when the Paul McGann Doctor went off into the Divergent, I think it was, universe. See, look at me, remembering things. Got them all here. So yeah, but I lost the plot with them, and then they started going down the monthly route for everything, and they started to get a little bit greedy, and then they started doing all these little spin-offs and all this sort of stuff, and they got a bit cocky, and now I just think they've lost the plot completely, and I'll never forgive them for what they did to Jimmy Dreyfus. Never. Who I've noticed they've upset slightly because they've put his face back in on one of their Twitters as the Master. Not that Jim's going to care, because he's doing a fabulous play at the moment. I'm hoping to go and see him in a few weeks on his play with Anne Reid. Anne Reid from Curse of Fenric and Smith and Jones. Lovely cast, by the way. A really nice cast. So he's not going to care. But I just thought that was interesting. Why have they done that? Don't know. Smiley people, hello to you. I had a mate whose dad was a top police officer. They had to see Harris. I had a mate whose dad was a top police officer. They had a hat to see who they'd harass. That'll be. That night gays were always picked out. Oh God, well, welcome back to the 80s and the 90s. It literally was like that. It was terrible, you know, and you just didn't trust them. And now they turn up with blooming clown cars and all these rainbows all over them and doing silly dances, and then put themselves on Tucky Ticky. There's plenty of criminals around the country right now that should be arrested. Never mind buggering off to prides. Can't be done with it. All in the name of DEI, ticking that box. I find it insulting. This is why I don't really like June. I'm hoping one day fairly soon I'm going to like June again, because all this is sort of played down a lot. I'm glad to see that some of you are also going back to original proper Doctor Who as well. That's exciting, isn't it? Hugh Jane is saying to me, every time this woke crap surfaces at my work, I tell them I'm a trans Jamaican rainbow unicorn. It soon exits the room. I bet it does. And Jason's saying to me, it's hard dealing with mental health due to lack of services. Possibly. I don't know enough about it, but very probably. But that leads me to the case of why, when it's blatant at the moment, that it's rife. Where are the services? Why aren't they coming up? I'd be worried about services now, though, Jason, because they'd all be DEI focused, wouldn't they? So what would they do to all these idiots running around now? Yeah, they did. Frank's saying that they dropped James Dreyfus, didn't they? Yeah, Bogfanish did drop him without telling him, and very unceremoniously. Yeah, because of a minority, which I would imagine is most of their custom base, who complained that he signed the letter in support of J.K. Rowling for saying a woman is a woman, basically. I've got no time for them, I'm afraid. Marie UK saying to us, what happened to celebs like Kenneth Williams who just wanted to get on with the work and his sexuality was just a tiny part of who he was? Well, Kenneth was another story though, wasn't he? Because Kenneth didn't actually admit he was homosexual to anybody. He didn't like the idea of it at all. He was very much a man of his time, which is a shame. His diaries really saw the pain and the torment he was going through with this in him. And it's a shame, really. It's a shame. Yeah. PTA is telling me Anne Reid is a legend. Isn't she just? She was in Dinner Ladies as well. Fantastic in that as Jean. Absolutely brilliant, written by, of course, the legend that was Victoria Wood. Can you imagine what she'd make of the society we're in today? Good grief, they cancel her. And Anne Reid played Nurse Crane, says Steve Henley. Absolutely. Absolutely, she did. Yeah, and very well as well. Thank you very much for joining me all and listening to me as I talk about all this, but it's good to see you all. Hello, Gore Vidal, what are you saying to me? No Doctor Who interest in my circle, not Van, not even at local comic shops, which for years now no longer carry Doctor Who toys. Granted, Doctor Who never had Star Wars level fans, but collectibles existed. You're right, Gore Vidal, but today it hasn't really. And there aren't many licensees, allegedly, that are interested in it because there isn't a huge base of people waiting to buy stuff, isn't it? You know, so that's the reality. Although, again, these people won't like it. They won't like it. You know, they won't like it at all if we say to them, nobody's watching the show. Nobody's watching the show. I've had this, actually, again this weekend when I commented on a Doctor Who comic strip page on Facebook, which I really liked. They were saying, somebody said to them, what's going to happen to the magazine now? Do you think they'll carry on with Shooty Gatwa's Doctor, or will they go and look at other Doctors? And I said, I don't believe, because I don't, that the magazine will last. I'll give it 2 years. And they came back saying, oh, and then an ex-editor who should know better came back with all this usual crap saying, source, how do you know this? Where's your source from? Oh, bugger off. It's my belief it's not going to last. There's your source. How stupid are these people? Source. It's my belief that the sales figures are down. It's my belief it's not going to be around in 2 years. Good God. They're incredible, aren't they? They don't like their little world being challenged in any way, shape, or form, do they? Talking of Liverpool, though, we were talking about Liverpool, weren't they? Yeah, a lot of you talking about double Dinner Ladies now. Fantastic, yeah. Anne Reid and Thelma Barlow. Talking about Liverpool, that was the other thing the other week. Over the last couple of weeks, Liverpool Pride was cancelled. Hurrah! I say, because it was turning into a right pile of poo. I'd been to Liverpool Pride and I've been to a few Manchester Prides in my time. I actually turned up to a meeting when they were looking for volunteers for Manchester Pride a few years back. And it was all voluntary. And I went along to this meeting, and then you had to have this interview to get onto the volunteers thing to put it together. And they didn't like me because I wanted to bring back more of the same-sex issues elements to it. I wanted to have a history of prides from the start in Stonewall in '69 to various events. I wanted to show how gay men had achieved rights, how lesbians had achieved rights, how they worked together, all this sort of stuff. They weren't interested in that at all. I said, oh, no, we don't want to do politics. We can't do politics anymore. We're a Mardi Gras. I said, no, you're a pride. No, we're turning it into a Mardi Gras. So we disagreed, and we had to agree to disagree. But of course, I never got to work with them, and I just never bothered. And then, of course, it's mutated into this whole thing where it's been taken over by the TQ culture, present more of the pronoun, the trans, the queer, homophobic slur. mean, if you look at Canal Street in August, when they do this Pride thing, it's bloody awful, because all you see is that bloody progressive flag all the way up. And they've also had signs put out now with pronouns on. What a load of crap. That's got nothing to do with LGB at all. Wouldn't be allowed if I was in charge. Anyway, what was it? Yeah, so Liverpool was going down the same route. And Liverpool, unfortunately, is another one of these communities, if you like, that have gone onto that bandwagon. And it's now all about the TQ. And here's the proof, because this is from Liverpool Pride. We are listening, says the Liverpool Pride Foundation. Are you really? Their statement goes on to say, since our announcement last week, we have been carefully listening to the community's response. What we have heard is that our organisation has repeatedly failed to deliver a Pride that fully reflects our city's LGBTQ plus community. Ugh. We completely agree. As relatively new board members, with some only joining in the midst of last year's event planning, it is what we have also observed as we have taken up our roles. It is another reason we have stopped this year's to take a breath. The reasons behind the decision to cancel our 2 events have been complex and myriad, connected to funding, timescales, and the capacity of our team of now 3 volunteer directors. 3. But also considered was fully understanding what the community wants from Pride. Before we next deliver our events, we need to ensure they are community-led and better serve our diverse needs. We can only do that by rebuilding our relationships. For those calling for us to close, to step away, we get it. However, we still have services we deliver and resources, connections and influence that we know can help support LGBTQ plus people in the city region. We don't want to lose that, because we know that, used correctly, it is vital. That's why our next action after our announcement was to speak to other organisations, including Sahir, who have stepped up to mobilise and facilitate the community, to see how we could use what resources we do have available this year to help the community-led response however we can. We don't expect this to be easy, but we are willing to put in the work. Our email addresses are below for if you would like to arrange to speak to us directly. We are also currently seeking new trustees to help us shape the future of the organisation, so please do reach out to us if this is of interest to you. With pride and solidarity, Amanda, Nikki and Matt. So they're using that bloody thing, with pride and solidarity. Solidarity, give over, you're not solidarity. Oh, you make me ill. Obviously, I have emailed them to say, I'll come and talk to you, but they're not going to want me, because A, I'm probably over the hill, and B, because I will turn around and say, you're wrong. Because if you look at the terminology, look at it all. We still have services we deliver and resources, connections and influence that we know can help support LGBTQ plus people. No, you don't. Pride is supposed to be about same-sex attracted people. The TQ now also have their spin-off prides, which are all about them, which don't even go anywhere near same-sex attracted people. So you need to look at that thing first, and look at that and start weeding out this nonsense in the community, and grab it and just do it and get back to what it was. Because, you know, the TQ cult is homophobic. Start looking at that and start addressing that. And what services are you actually peddling? I'm very concerned about some of these alleged helplines for young people. And we get, who views, some young gay boys and girls emailing in to say, thank you for what you say on your show. And thank you for being there. Because they're getting pressured from, whether it be university or some sort of school type environment, or even work, or even their local, what used to be the local gay group, which is now the local TQ cult group, to be things that they're not, and say things and believe things they don't believe, when actually they're just gay. So of course I get back to them whenever I can to say, look, stand hard, you are right, you be who you are, and don't let them pressurize you. But it won't be easy for young people, because young people need friends, they need people to go out with, and they need to be part of groups, don't they? We've all been there as young people. You need to have your circle of friends, and then some of those people will stay with you, hopefully, through your life, unless they decide that your opinions are too radical. But radical, saying a woman's a woman is radical. How did we get here? But anyway, to those kids, those youngsters, so I call you kids, to me you are, but to those youngsters who are same-sex attracted, stand firm and don't worry about it, because there are other people that are same-sex attracted, and you will meet them, and you'll be able to build friendships and relationships from them, because they are around, and more gay men and women are waking up. So find a group that will support you. That's where I would say, wherever you are in the States or Britain or wherever you are, find groups that will support you. In the United Kingdom, we've got a helpline from the LGB Alliance that's around. You can look that up, and you can get in touch with them. But there are other facilities which I wouldn't advise at all, because one of the first things they'll try and do is trans you, allegedly. They'll try and put you down the trans route. Are you sure about this? Which again is homophobia, isn't it? So for Liverpool Pride, I can't believe that they're even looking at this and saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's all because, do you know how it's, I'll tell you, why it stopped, why Liverpool Pride was cancelled was because of the Supreme Court's decision and its ruling, rather, of common sense and fact that a woman is a woman and a man is a man, which of course set off the TQ cult, pronoun using, blue rinse waving, pink haired, unicorn believing nonsense, and all those flag waving supporters, to the point where we're at them now, where they're having meltdowns still to this day, because the truth has hit them hard. And the Supreme Court has come out saying, no, a trans woman is not a woman and a trans man is not a man. Get over yourselves. Right? So they've had all these meltdowns, including people, sadly, in Liverpool who were part of this thing to do with Pride. And they turned on their major sponsor, Barclays Bank, who was ploughing in a good few thousand, from I hear from sources, into Pride. It was their main sponsor, to the stage, the setup, everything. So we're giving them a lot of money. Now, Barclays Bank is one of the major businesses that have come out in the recent weeks to say, we will honour and, follow the Supreme Court's decision that a woman is a woman and a man is a man. So that's upset all these flag-waving idiots. So they put pressure on Pride, who then cut the cord with Barclays and then looked at the bank account. Insane, isn't it? It's just insane. These people don't think, do they? Honest to God. They were, oh, hang on a minute. We've just cut off our biggest sponsor. Oh, we can't do any Pride this year because we haven't got the money. But you know what? They're going to have the problem, because what's going to happen now is they're going to reform. They're going to get together probably at 3 o'clock in the morning. And they're going to get together and they're going to look at this and say, where does Pride in Liverpool and wherever else go now? Because they want it to all be about the TQ cult. They want it to all be about trans issues, and that a trans woman is a woman and a trans man is a man. They're not. They're going to push that and push it and push it. And they won't get any sponsorship because the law states the truth in this country. Isn't it ridiculous? Isn't it ridiculous? So these people, this is what the TQ cult do. They're so deluded. They're so uninformed. They're so pathetic. They're so loud. They're so bandwagon jumping. They're so annoying. And they're also homophobic. They can't see what they're doing. They are destroying everything that people like me, same-sex attracted people, have built up for years. No wonder the rise of homophobia in this country is increasing weekly, because they're leading it. They lead it, whether they like to admit it or not. They lead it. People like the Pink News, etc., only report one side. They're not reporting the fact that the belief of the TQ cult is homophobic. Pride now stands for homophobia. It drives me insane. Alfie Jack is telling me that old crone RuPaul has an awful lot to answer for. Yes, he does. He does. He's an absolute insane idiot himself with all his hippie nonsense. But yes, and a lot of these poor kids have grown up with this awful show, and they're deluded. So absolutely, I totally agree with that one. Chris Lawley sent me, though, things appear to be turning back to LGBT same-sex attraction from average people, misunderstanding what has been happening. It's slow, Chris, but you're right. And hopefully that's going to increase as people become more aware. Things in the UK, like, of course, the Supreme Court ruling has helped. But there is an awful lot still, especially around the cities, like London, especially Brighton, Manchester, Liverpool as well, Glasgow, Edinburgh, all these idiots that are around that who are far left ideological liberals. I'm talking far left over there who can't tell reality. We're going to be talking more about that in headlines at 8 o'clock. You know what we're going to be talking about in there with Gatwa, who's a part of this as well. Guy can't get it right, can he? Must be thick as mince. But hopefully more and more people will wake up. It doesn't help at all, of course, that idiots in entertainment are pushing this now as well, like RTD, pushing it all into what was what he thinks is Doctor Who, and what was terribly out of date. Only psychos like Tennant will sponsor them now, says Marie UK, allegedly. Yeah, they won't put their millions into Pride, though, will they? Oh no, that's going too far. And Legion of James, the biggest lie is that they can force acceptance. People will be people and there will always be prejudice. But we, the original LGB, had overcome a lot of ignorance and prejudice, and now the cult is causing it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And now they're getting the prides cancelled as well. So you can't have anything with them. You know, everything they touch, they've taken our bars away from us. They've taken our bookshops away from us. They've taken our resources away from us. They've taken our clubs away from us. They've taken our prides away from us. Why isn't anybody else looking at this? Why isn't anybody else looking at the pattern here? So unless you bend the knee, like the RVT in London in Vauxhall, shame on you lot as well, bloody idiots. You know, you can't go in there unless you're part of the cult, unless you bend the knee. One of them, who apparently is their event manager at the moment, is very busy trying to get at J.K. Rowling, but she's having none of it. Of course she's not. What an idiot. Don't take her on because she's full of truth and she's full of facts. She'll eat you alive. Bill Lowry's telling me the tenants are selling their wedding photos. Oh, God, really? Does anybody really want to see that? Possibly they wouldn't have the money to support Pride. Well, they won't do it anyway. They won't put their money where their mouth is. Can you imagine them going to Liverpool or Manchester or Brighton saying, "Is a million?" Because a million is more than enough to put on a Pride. To start it up anyway. Start it up. Hello, Paul Bryden, 72. How are you? They forget Doctor Who's just a show we love. It's not a religion. I know what you're saying there, Paul. Why is everything really a religion to them? That's why I call it the TQ cult, because it really is. And it is part of it. They're mad, aren't they? They're absolutely insane, and they are so devout to it. Scary people. I often wonder what Paul O'Grady would think of how crazy it's got to selfie Jack. Well, from my experience of Mr. O'Grady, I know a fact he didn't like the RuPaul drag thing, and called it for everything. He didn't like that at all. I don't think he would have approved of all these boys who are coming up as drag queens now. They're not even drag queens. A lot of them are misogynists and don't really know it with some of their acts. That's not really drag. I look at some of them and some of them are terribly, terribly confused and need help. They really need help because some of them think they are actually women. And that's where drag seems to have gone. British drag was never the same as American drag. British drag was always, obviously, a bloke in a frock telling lewd and un-PC, hopefully, jokes to an adult audience. The new lot that are coming up worry me because I look at some of them and think, you're unoriginal, you're not funny, and you're not a British drag queen, so why are you in British drag bars? You should be over in America doing it their way. And it's all because of that old Crohn's show. Can't stand it. And when I've got control of the BBC, that's one of the first things to come off. Hi, Jason Parker. How are you? I fear, he says, when it's over, the non-Bs will have settled down with kids, found a new in vogue cause. The queues will go away. The public and media will look for scapegoat, and once again, they will blame gay men. It's a real fear. It's a real fear. Yeah, it's a real fear, Jason. It could actually happen, that couldn't it? That's a point, because these idiots will hopefully grow up. And although I look at some of the adults that are on other far left, liberal and far left causes at the moment, and they should know better. Honestly, absolutely ridiculous. Thank you for joining me, everybody, and thank you for listening to my rants here live at 6 here on Whose Views. I'd say the cult members wouldn't stand a chance if they were put in a room with you, JT. Me and problem being, the facts would kill their pink party wigs, says Legion of James. They bloody would. They absolutely would. There's a couple of other, Mr. Menno, let's get him in there. There's a couple of other people we could put in the mix as well, couldn't we? The Gay Men's Foundation, we could get them in. We've got to come together and we've got to stand together with this because it's really important, I think. Really, really important. And PTA saying to us, QT is the religion of the atheist political left. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it makes sense. Well, all those people on the extreme left wing are driving me insane. And we're going to be covering more of it in an hour's time with headlines. The thumbnail's up now, the show's up there for you. Make sure you set a reminder. I want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for subscribing. If you're new to the channel, thank you for listening to my little rant here live at 6. Please subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to have you here. If you have already subscribed to the channel, go and check to make sure you're still subscribed. A lot coming up for you this week. I'll be back in an hour with the team for your big show. It's headlines, a lot to talk about. I'll see you at 8 o'clock, 1 hour's time. Go get a cup of tea. See you soon. Thank you.